So here at the Institute of Directors this morning, we've had Charles Duhigg explaining his new book, Smarter, Faster, Better, How to Lead a More Productive Lifestyle. So, Charles, can I ask you, what are the simple steps somebody can take to improve their lifestyle and become more productive?
So the key insight is that the more that you train yourself, that you build systems or habits that force you to think a little bit deeper about the choices you're making and the goals that you have, the more productive you're going to be. And one of my favorite examples of this is the to-do list, right? Because everyone writes to-do lists. And if you think about it, a to-do list should be not only a way of sort of keeping track of the tasks you need to do, but if it's working right, if it's making you more productive, it should also force you to think a little bit about your priorities. Are you working on the most important things? Are you getting closer to your goals as opposed to just other people's goals? And so what psychologists say is that the right way to write a to-do list is that at the top of the list, put your biggest aspiration. Right? It could be, I want to run a marathon, or it could be this week I want to write an outline for this chapter that I want to get done. Something to remind you, this is my big goal, this is what I actually want to get done. But big goals can be overwhelming, we don't know where to start. And so underneath, what psychologists say is that you should have a system for breaking that into a plan. And one of my favorite systems is called SMART goals. And it's called SMART because you're supposed to say specifically what you do when you sit down at first thing in the morning, how you're going to measure success. Make sure that's achievable, right? Is it something you can actually do in a morning? What do you need to do to make it realistic? Do you need to turn off your email or close your office door? And what's the timeline? Is it going to take 30 minutes or 90 minutes? And then if you write a to-do list that way, you have something, this big goal at the top of your page that reminds you, this is what really matters to me. And then you have a plan underneath. And that's a to-do list that makes you genuinely productive.
Yeah, absolutely. And you shouldn't just write a to-do list just to cross things off.
Exactly.
I'm sure we've all been guilty.
Exactly. In fact, psychologists refer to that as mood repair.
Right.
That sometimes if you write down easy tasks, or if you write down a task you've already done so that you can cross it off as soon as you get to your desk, that's trying to make yourself feel better instead of making yourself be productive.
And one of the other things you touched on this morning, Charles, a fascinating thing, was about whether companies can continue to be productive for the next 30 years. You talked about productivity being a 30-year life cycle. And we discussed whether Google would still be the sort of dominant player that it is in 30 years' time.
It's an interesting question, right? I mean, we of course can't tell the future, and we know that there are companies that have been productive and innovative for decades and decades, and that there are other companies that were leaders in their fields, like Polaroid, right? Or Xerox, that it seemed like nobody could ever unseat, that became irrelevant within years. And it seems like the difference between companies that manage to stay productive and those that don't is how much they think about how the company is thinking. Right? And so Google is a great example. What Google is doing right now is Google says we have this natural monopoly in search, but we're going to spend a lot of time and a lot of effort pushing ourselves to do things that are completely unrelated to search. We're going to try and make driverless cars. We're going to purchase Nest and try and create the Internet of Things in people's homes. We're going to attempt to put rockets into space. Now, these are not efficient, right? There's no guarantee that driverless cars or rockets into space will ever pay off. But Google recognizes that companies can become so efficient that they stop being productive. They can become so efficient that they're good at one thing and then the world passes them by. And so in many ways, the battle within companies is, how do we make sure that we don't fall in love with efficiency so much at doing the same thing over and over, smarter and faster and better, this one thing, that we lose sight of the fact that the world might change and we need to learn how to do other things, even if there's some costs along the way, to teach ourselves how to do it.
Absolutely. No, that's a fascinating insight. Thank you so much for coming to the Institute of Directors this morning to talk about it. The book is now available in bookstores as well as Amazon, and so yeah, feel free to buy it.
Thanks for having me.